Good afternoon, and welcome to the Voice of Wisdom. With over 60 years of experience as an investment banker, entrepreneur, investment analyst, genius economist, venture capitalist, and political analyst and strategist, Morty Davis is Wall Street and capitalism personified. The over 400 companies for which he has raised more than $3 billion over the years have created a countless number of jobs and exciting new products. Through the Voice of Wisdom, Mr. Davis explores, analyzes, and debates the most topical, political, economic, and social issues facing our world today. Joining Mr. Davis today for a discussion on the situation in Gaza is Len Carter. Len is an investment banker, business consultant, and private investor. And now, Mr. Davis and Mr. Carter.
Welcome back, my favorite people in the world, my participants, fellow participants in this podcast, my cohorts, and my brilliant followers and contributors, giving me all sorts of ideas, criticism that's constructive and sometimes hurtful, but always constructive in that it makes me think, it makes me
Reflect.
No, more than reflect. Modify, in cases, my stubborn view. I am convinced that my views are absolutely right. And you put questions before me in the sense that you make a good case for something in contrast to what I absolutely believe. And I get to think about it, and I can see where there's some merit to what you're thinking. So I get to include that. Is it inculcate that in my brain, in my knowledge. Anyway, I want to confess to you, while it's supposed to be Wednesday, 6:30, I have two urgent meetings, Tuesday and Wednesday. So we're doing it Monday night. So if some major news occurs between Monday night, which is currently the time, 6:30 on Monday night, I may not get to that issue this Wednesday night unless I figure out how to insert it before then, if I get the time. Anyway, that's just to bring you up to date. Again, I apologize for bringing you a series of discussions and reports on tragedies and what's wrong with the human race and the world, the good nations as well as bad nations performing things that are so detrimental to other human beings, even though we, the good guys, the Americans and the British and so forth, are doing it with the confidence that when we kill the other side, 17-year-olds to 27-year-olds that have no natural hostility or reason to be killing our 17 and 27-year-olds, we feel that we're justified and we're doing the right thing, which is absolutely wrong because war is wrong no matter who does it. If you're attacked and you respond to an attack, there's nothing you can do other than to respond. But other than being attacked, why we're always at war, always killing people at other nations is so anti our fellow men. We got to figure out a way to end this this pandemic of war. Because if we don't, each time we use more, since the beginning of time, each time we came up with more destructive, devastating killing machines, killing. First, we only could do it with a rock or a branch within a few feet of yourself. And then we could do it from a block away with a gun. And then we could do it with tanks and even now airplanes and missiles and more devastating numbers that we can destroy at one time. And it's just a matter of time because we've used everything we developed within some period of time. Even things that are outlawed, like mines, what do they call the mines that are left on the ground?
Landmines.
Landmines, or poison gas, or biological
bioweapons or chemical weapons or
yeah. We've used everything, even outlawed. So it won't be long that we'll do what the United States did to Japan towards the end of the Second World War, and have somebody, more and more countries, recently India and Pakistan, were at war with each other. They both have nuclear weapons. Fortunately, they ended it. Trump takes the credit for it. Maybe he is responsible. But anyway, they were more normal. They responded more like Russia and the United States, concerned about their mutual destruction. But some evil leader, and there are some, and there are always new ones coming along, will take the opportunity and develop the latest bombs that are 100 times more powerful than the ones that the United States used against Hiroshima and Nagasaki in Japan, that killed probably 500,000
civilians.
Not I was saying citizens too, but civilians. There were no military in those two cities. So if we don't stop it, and even then, when we used it at that time, some of the scientists who have developed it were concerned because they didn't know the ultimate fallout if it could destroy half the world or all the world. The ones that are 100 times more powerful may very well have enough radiation to wipe out the world or a good part of it and end the survivability, the sustainability of human life on land. So we've got to deal with that. The UN was established to avoid these kind of confrontations, these wars. It's done nothing. The League of Nations, which was established after the First World War, was supposed to be like the UN, but was totally inept and dissolved. But the UN, the only thing better than the League of Nations that it has is beautiful buildings on the east side of Manhattan. But other than that, it accomplishes, in my view, almost nothing. It hasn't stopped wars. It hasn't stopped violence, even within countries. It's nothing. So at some juncture, we got to act like grown-ups and stop throwing our violence, our tempers, our toys, but they're not toys, are destructive weapons throughout the world. And the United States, no less than any other country, we're in more wars than any other country in the world. And I don't know how many civilians we killed in Vietnam and not Pakistan,
Afghanistan.
Yeah, Afghanistan. And every day, without any cease, innocent people are being killed throughout the world. You already got enough bad review of the world.
It's not just with the weapons. It's not just the strength of any one weapon. Like, yes, hydrogen bombs today are 100 or 1,000 times more. One is 100 or 1,000 times more powerful than the Hiroshima or Nagasaki bomb. But it's also just the number.
We don't have any idea what the magnitude of the destruction is because it's never been used.
But they've been detonated, and so they know how many tons of TNT each one's equivalent to. But what my point is I
don't think they.
They've never dropped it on a city, but they know how many tons.
I don't think they drop ones that have a lot of side effects. In other words, what is it called? Radiation.
Fallout.
But
however powerful any one bomb is, we have thousands and thousands of these. It's like, even if it were just the same strength as the Japan bombs, multiply that, one could do unbelievable damage to a populated city. We're talking about, between all the nuclear powers in the world, there are thousands, tens of thousands of these things. So they don't even have to be powerful. There's just so many of them.
I don't know what would happen if a war broke out between the U.S. and the Soviet Union, or Russia. There's no more Soviet Union. And each side used their...
Even if they used a tiny fraction of how many they had. 10. Forget about 1,000. 10 could destroy the country.
They use their arsenal. Once it starts, each one raises the... Anyway, I'm already depressed.
That's a good transition to how not to be depressed.
So I apologize, and I'll give you the solution. If you want to be happy, not happy like when you're having some addictive drug or 10 beers or a bottle of what do the Russians drink a lot
of?
Vodka or scotch or something. The ability of the human to destroy each other is unbelievable in its dimensions. So we better stop soon, otherwise I have no confidence that my children's children will have a world, or not this world anyway. So if you want to get on the road to happiness, I suggest you go run out. Don't walk out. Don't call Amazon, but rush to acquire this book that you see on the screen. I'm so touched by what we discussed, I can hardly talk. But Happiness Guaranteed or Your Misery Back, a book that I wrote with my brilliant daughter. She's written 10 books, all of them great. And it will teach you not happiness like when you're soused, drunk or on drugs, but contentment. How to have a life that's balanced, that you enjoy all that you have and appreciate all that you have. And this book teaches you all that because it gathers and has put together all of the wisdom of the greatest thinkers on the subject, from biblical thinkers, the Old Testament, the New Testament, all of the great cardinals and popes and rabbis and religious leaders and philosophers like Plato and Socrates and Greece. Everybody who's ever thought about it. The thing that changed my life was discovering a book called The Power of Positive Thinking by Bishop Sheen. I think it's Sheen or Steen, who was the leader of a Catholic church in the middle of Manhattan, Midtown Manhattan, and wrote a book called The Power of Positive Thinking. And his message was, if you think positively, you feel positive, you feel upbeat, and it leads to positive things happening. So that changed my life, and that's incorporated in this book, as well as ideas from Dale Carnegie, who was brilliant, who wrote How to Stop Worrying, Start Living, and how to Develop Friends. What was it called again? How to Win Friends
and Influence People.
If you make friends, that's one of the greatest gifts that we have as human beings. Happiness comes from relationships with positive, uplifting relationships, from positive relationships with your fellow man, with your neighbors, with your children, with your spouses, your husbands, your wives. The people are happiest, the nations that are happiest have close relationships within their communities, neighbors, cities, states, countries, fellow men. So I'm urging you, run out and get this book. It has 365 pages of these brilliant ideas conveyed to you. Not by me, in the sense that they're not my books, my ideas. I didn't develop them. I gathered them from all of history for my own benefit and now for your benefit too. So, and I know that you will appreciate it, because since this book came out, I've had an open offer to anybody that acquires it or gets it as a gift even. If you're not uplifted by it, if you don't think it's really beneficial, it's not the most expensive or the most luxurious gift you'll ever get. But I tell you, if you buy it for yourself as a gift or get it from others, it will be probably the most valuable, useful, worthwhile gift you ever got. And I've offered anybody that doesn't find that to be true, double their money back. In other words, you send me your purchase slip and say, Morty, thank you, but I really didn't get the benefit that you promised, that you say everybody else has gotten. So I'd like a refund. I will give you double what you paid. So right away that'll add to your happiness. And you can keep the book and still uh, refer to it and perhaps find great ideas in the course of the rest of your life. The best idea I want to give you today, I can't give you the whole idea of the book, but I suggest that most of us, for better or worse, mostly for worse, live as things happen to you. You don't feel you're in control, and things that happen are not within your control. So it's like, if you're lucky, you win a sweepstake, But I'm telling you, you've got to design your life from this moment on with a purpose. Every minute is valuable. At the end of your life, or any time during your life, you can't even get an extra 10 minutes if you're willing to pay $1 billion. It's just not available. It's the most valuable thing a human being has. It's time. So it teaches you how to value your time, how to enjoy your time. And the best way to do that is go at life. You become the boss. You're the boss of your own mind, your own man. If you're a woman, maybe your own man, of your own mind. And make sure that you make your mind think happy events, think future happiness, enjoy the moment, count your blessings. And that's what this book urges and dictates that you do. And if you adopt those ideas, it does it through the lessons of history, of the great thinkers and philosophers, with humor and jokes, and it's a fun read. Each page of the 365 pages, one day for every day of the year, will add to the quality of your life. So, as I say, you'll never get a better deal. If you're not truly convinced and find that if you don't find that it benefits you and your ongoing existence, send the purchase slip back, your purchase slip back, or even if you got a gift, get the purchase slip back from the person that sends you the gift. Even if it just sends you a photocopy, I'll send you double your money back and you can keep the book. You can't get a better deal than that. So that should make your day. And go at life with enthusiasm, with excitement, looking forward to the good things that are going to happen to you in your life. And don't focus on the negatives and the tragedies which all of us go through, but it teaches you how to best overcome those, how to focus beyond the present. When I go to see my best friend and he's just lost some loved ones, which is the most tragic event I could think of in a person's life, losing a parent or a child, I don't talk to him about this too shall pass, as Solomon said. It will pass, but that doesn't give him a great deal of comfort right now. I talk to him about first how I know how terrible it is to go through this, how hurtful. I identify with him. I commiserate with him. And then I talk about things that gets him off the momentary tragedy by reminding him of the date we have in October this year to once again go skiing in Vermont, where we had such a wonderful time last year. So he starts to think about beyond this moment to the happy events that still await one in the future. So go at life with a zest for living and count your blessing, the simplest blessing, that you're breathing well, that you don't have heart failure, that your arms and legs work. Till they disappear, you don't even appreciate it, you take it for granted. Once they disappear, if you ever get them back, you live life differently. You fully appreciate it. You look out the window in the morning and you see nature and the color of the trees and the flowers, and you see your children or your loved ones. You're so happy that your eyes work, your fingers work, your legs work. Count those blessings that all of us take for granted. It's automatic that when we wake up, we expect it to, but it doesn't have to be. Millions of people wake up without the ability to see, without the ability to even think. So thank your lucky stars and count those blessings. Without further ado, keep counting your blessings. Write them down so you can really look at them and appreciate them. So we can move on with the pressing nature of this week's events, and I'll have Len Carter back. We're blessed to have him. He's a genius. He graduated with honors from every great school that he went to, the top schools in the nation. Cornell, an Ivy League school, where he graduated with honors in getting his electrical engineering degree, and then from Stanford University, one of the best in the world, where so many of our most brilliant techies and futurists come from. Two young Jewish Russians still at school developed Google and became multi-billionaires while still at school, and they're just two examples of many that graduated from that school. And Len graduated with a master's in electrical engineering from that great university. And finally, he joined me years later. He's much younger, at Harvard Business School as an alumnus. And that's, in my view, the number one business school in the world, if not the number one, certainly amongst the top 5 or 10, where he got a master's in business administration and all the things that make people successful in business, and graduated at the top of his class, just as I was lucky enough to experience. So without further ado, I want to thank you, Len.
Thank you,
for once again letting impose on your time, which I know is so valuable, and join me in this podcast. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Always a pleasure.
You want to tell us what you have on the agenda?
So, it's in a few months. It'll be the 2-year mark from when Hamas launched a horrible terrorist attack on Israel on October 7th in 2023.
October
7th, 2023, almost 2 years ago in a few months. And we've had a few opportunities to talk here on the show about what's been happening, strategy, why, what's Israel thinking, what should they be thinking, what the U.S. is thinking, doing, what the world is thinking and doing and reacting and seeing. And over the past 2 years, we've seen a lot happen in terms of some hostage releases, a few periods of a ceasefire. We've seen administrations change in the 2 years and how that's affected U.S. policy toward Israel. And just last week, when we were talking about other topics to discuss in the following week, we didn't realize that so much would actually happen in the week since we thought about having this discussion, because what we saw, just by way of background, over the weekend, the IDF announced this past weekend that they would be implementing what they call tactical pauses in military activity in some areas of Gaza, designed to
ceasefires, kind of.
Sort of, yeah, where they're temporarily.
Yeah.
They call it tactical pause. I guess is all kinds of euphemisms for different things. And they would also designate secure routes and to set up to enable UN and other agencies to deliver badly needed food and other medical supplies. So kind of the background. One reaction from Israel's far-right national security minister, Itamar Ben Gvir.
Deliver aid to the Palestinians who make up the population of Gaza.
Right, the 2 million or so people there. And we see reported in media a lot of starvation and by all walks of life, including many children and infants. So Israel having, the ability for people to express their views freely without criticism, are quick to do that. And one criticism came from the security minister, Itamar Ben Gvir, who said...
And especially journalists that are...
Israel has a free press.
That are hostile to Israel, like, what's the one from Al Jazeera and others.
Mm-hmm.
They're too happy to report truthfully or not anything that hurts Israel's reputation and gives Israel terrible publicity, PR.
So
that's for Israel is proud of its free speech, but the free speech is very costly to them as a nation. The whole world is angry at Israel, even though they were the ones that were violently attacked and their wives and women were raped and killed and babies had their heads cut off and little children were murdered without any mercy. Hard to believe how cruel. And Israel is becoming the bad guy, and it's the way the victim is the bad guy. They shouldn't have been in the way of these violent acts.
So one view from the national security minister, who denounced the government's decision to increase humanitarian aid, says it's a surrender to Hamas And the only way to win the war and bring back the hostages is to completely stop the humanitarian aid, conquer the entire strip, and encourage voluntary migration. So that's a certainly
Well, that
an
sounds pretty
extreme
harsh.
view.
Yeah, that's not smart to say because it sort of gives the view that he's heartless because you're talking about little children and so forth. But it's hard for Israel to accommodate. Israel claims that they allow food to come in, but it's all these organizations that capture the food, particularly Hamas itself, which captures it, cashes it, sells it for cash, or sells it to the people that it's meant for, and takes the dollars without giving it to them, to the intended recipients. So Israel gets blamed, even though they're allowing it to come in. They encourage it to come in, but they're accused of that's why the minister said, stop letting it in, because they are letting it in. Anybody that wants to leave can leave any day to, maybe that's harsh. People live someplace, they like to stay where they are. But the way they're treated by Hamas, they're targets. As far as I know, there's no other country in the world that has done repeatedly what Israel has done, notifying, dropping leaflets, calling people, telling them, we're going to be attacking this area. Please leave as soon as possible so you don't get hurt. No other country does that. In fact, Israel is the one nation that the minute there's any kind of major tragic event anywhere else in the world, they send their doctors and build hospitals and send cash and nurses. In Ukraine, where they didn't have any issue themselves, nobody attacked Israel. Israel, when the war, when the Ukrainians were attacked by the Russians, very early on in the war, they sent a vast number of doctors to take care of the people and those wounded and hospitalized, and they even built the hospital in Ukraine for the Ukrainians. So to accuse Israel of the harsh, of the vicious acts of what they call genocide is so outrageous, so inconsistent with the nature of their belief in the importance of life.
So, what do you think is the aim, the military aim now? I mean, they say 87% of Gaza is under Israeli control. So, what, will these tactical pauses be enough? Or what do you think the objective is at this point? I don't know. 87% may be under control, and I don't know what percent. It's very high. That's like destroyed or uninhabitable. I think almost every building, residential building or otherwise, has been damaged or destroyed. So
the only solution that I can envision was the one that Netanyahu announced a very week after the Israel was attacked, and he said, "We're going after Hamas and could totally destroy them because we can't tolerate this kind of behavior every few years, the recurrence of every few years." That was his announcement that he was going to do that.
But
And then he has withdrawn, actually, in a large sense, he's letting his country, Israel, he himself, be a hostage to the hostage families that are, what are they doing? Marching,
protesting.
protesting.
Just this past weekend, there was protests in Tel Aviv about failing to criticizing the government for failing to secure a ceasefire and returning their loved ones.
Yeah, and I can understand their feelings. It's their loved ones. It's their children and their brothers and mothers. And I can understand that. If it was my family, I'd feel the same way. But a country at war can't stop whatever, what is it, concurrent or coincident, or I forget the word, that occurs during a war.
Collateral damage.
Collateral damage that inevitably occurs during a war. And they're trying to fight a war with their arms behind their backs. It's ridiculous. So, and not only that, they'll save 20 hostages or even dead bodies. There's maybe 10 live ones left.
Yeah, they
at
think
most
maybe
20.
Yeah.
At most 20.
Yeah.
And 20 bodies.
Yep.
And the families of those 50, including the dead bodies, are advocating and marching and carrying on. And you can't let that happen, because every single day Israel is sending new young people from 17 to 27, a little younger, a little older, even married people that are sent off to the war because they only have a limited amount of population. So everybody in Israel is in the service of the military. And they're getting killed every day, more than 10 or 20. So, they're saying keep up, surrender to the wishes of Hamas and get our people back. They're so foolish because within a week, first of all, Hamas knows that as long as they have hostages, Israel is constrained, so they can't attack. And number two, anytime they get them all back, within a week they could always get another 50 Israelis, so citizens, off the streets of Israel, of Tel Aviv, of Jerusalem. So I don't know how Bibi has agreed to be hostage to the families. I know how, politically it sounds good, saving the hostages, but it's outrageous.
So, but here's the thing.
And also, they return, the last time they got 50 back, they gave over 1,000 murderers and criminals, vicious criminals, back to the Hamas. That will kill many more than the 50 that they returned.
So Hamas says they've issued a new directive that they're going to kill the remaining hostages if Israel tries to attempt a rescue. So what would you do different? What could they do differently? I mean, if
Israel shouldn't attempt to rescue them, they should fight the war to get rid of Hamas
So,
told
but what
me.
does that mean? If you've already destroyed virtually every building
Well,
in Gaza, what could you do more?
You got to get the other 13%.
But even if you had troops everywhere, there's still underground places hide. It's like guerrilla warfare. You can't. It's not. You're not fighting an organized government, right? You're not. It's not like a military where there's bases and you can capture places.
In the past, Israel.
This is a very unique situation.
In a normal war, Israel has beaten numerous countries at the same time because it was a war where they could identify and locate the enemy.
Right.
Here they're like.
So with that in mind, though,
cockroaches.
You can't. Right. So with that in mind, do you need to change the strategy because you can't? There's no endpoint where you can eliminate 100% of them. So do you need to do something different?
No, you have to eliminate 100% because we know from experience that as long as you leave some of around, in a few years there'll be another attack and another. Throughout Israel's existence, it's been a recurring event that they've been, even though they're legitimate, voted by the UN as a sovereign state, they've been attacked repeatedly, ceaselessly. And you'd think, well, maybe the UN would stand up for Israel because they appointed Israel and designated as a sovereign state. They criticize Israel as much or more than anyone. So Israel's in a no-win situation.
But I think
if you're in a no-win situation, the best thing is to do whatever you can do to the maximum, because nobody could change a fait accompli. The United States bombed Hiroshima and Nagasaki, killing almost all civilians. Not almost all. There were no military encampments in those two cities. And they could scream and yell, and there wasn't even that much screaming because it helped end the war more expeditiously. But once it's done, it's done.
No, I mean, I think, and if there's no surrender, then you have to sort proceed as if there is, meaning do what we did in Germany and Japan, set up a government, right, and run the country the way you think you should run the country. Right now, they didn't do that. They're letting the chaos just become chaos.
They're letting the UN people there, who are like brothers to they're getting so much money. 80% of unemployment, 80% of the people in Gaza are unemployed. So the UN sends tons of money. The biggest recipient of funds from the world organizations.
See, I think if Israel, since it's in the jam that you described, which I agree with, if Israel set up a government like we did in Japan, set up a government and start governing the country,
but
instead of just letting it just go nowhere.
PR wise, that looks like Israel's trying to capture more land.
No, but it depends on what you.
No,
what you do with when you set up the government. If you do good things, if you start bringing in organizing food, and you start creating law and order, and you start.
They could do it in conjunction with the United States and maybe.
Well, I think you should. Yes, with the moderate Arab countries,
maybe.
To try to create a governing organization, because until you do that, you're going to let Hamas remain, because without a governing organization that the world is supporting, it's just going to be what it is. It's like now there's like clans and chaos.
If Israel took it over, unlike what the United States did in England or Russia did in Europe to Nazi Germany or the United States to Japan, they took it over.
Right.
The whole world wasn't angry because they felt there was a justifiable takeover.
And particularly
here they were attacked. Israel has a right in response to that horrendous attack to be as strong against that enemy as is humanly
because
possible.
I think until you actually start to try to govern, you can't make positive traction. As soon as they could start making positive traction, then they could start pointing to good things that they're doing instead of just allowing the chaos to continue. Because so long as the chaos continues, the PR is bad, the starvation
bad.
continues.
Horrendous.
You know, if they set up some form of government which could then organize food and aid and all this stuff that's not happening now, that would be good.
If you remember from the very first week, they kept saying, what's going to happen the next day?
The day after, right?
The day after.
Right.
No,
well, that's what I don't think they need. You'd think in 2 years they would think about the day after. They had 2 years to think about it.
No, because they can't do it without, again, the world criticized the hell. It's very bad PR. But nobody had that problem with the United States taking over Japan or the United Kingdom and Russia and the United States taking over Germany. Nobody had that problem. So it's only Israel that's judged on a different level, different basis.
So one thing we saw over the weekend, that Jordan and the UAE conducted 3 airdrops of food and aid. Their first in months. So, you know, where's the rest of the world who's been quick to condemn others for not doing enough, but absent when it comes to doing anything themselves?
Yeah,
it seems that
even that nations and the UN criticizes that because when it's dropping these packages on, it's hurting people.
Yeah, well, they say it's inhumane because sometimes the parachutes fall on people. All right,
yeah.
I mean, I would think you could get out of the way, but I don't know.
You can't. God,
but
yeah.
And the other thing is it's dehumanizing.
Fast.
Okay, but they tell you it's coming. So, but the other thing is when they land, everyone runs to the packages, and it's like it's sort of like it's like not nice.
People get hurt.
Well, and also it's like they're running like dogs, so they're like it's dehumanizing to be treated that way, like everyone's scrambling like crazy, as opposed to a more organized distribution.
Israel's Netanyahu's got to stop being hostage to the hostage families. Right, that's the first thing. He can't let them decide how to carry on against Hamas because it forces Israel to be the worst of all, to behave violently.
But don't you think he gets that? I mean, he's a smart guy.
I don't know what's wrong with him. I don't know. He doesn't get it. He gets it, but he doesn't get it.
I mean, he got it with Iran. He went in forcefully and
the first
definitively.
Day that the war started, he said, we're going to get rid of Hamas totally. He didn't realize what a challenge it is, and maybe he can't do it. But that's the only way. There's no other way. You can't keep responding to the marches of the hostage family. They don't have the country as their number one saving the country as the number one goal. They say, to hell with the war, to hell with the country, let Hamas win. What do we have to do? In a way, they're saying surrender to Hamas. And that's what he's doing because of the pressure. I say Israel has been, and particularly Bibi Netanyahu, that's why that guy is saying it so harshly. What is it? Which one of the cabinet
The minister,
ministers?
yeah. Itamar Ben-Gvir.
Yeah, he's not such a
National Security Minister.
He's not such a vicious, genocidal person. It's just that he says you can't just act as if you're dealing with a normal situation where you can't behave with the strongest response possible, regardless of the consequences. Right now, the consequences are the worst. They suffer new deaths every day of young people to not end the fighting because if they end the fighting, Hamas has got a chance to rearm and attack them again. So they got no choice, And like I say, once you do something as bad as it is, as vicious, all the people we killed in Vietnam, we're still allies now with Vietnam. It's a done deal. Nobody could change the past. We even forgive the South that killed so many of the Union, our own people. It's over. No, you don't deal with that, but you got to get it behind you. And here, every day, every single day, it lights a fire under all those that hate Israel, and that's why so many people, unrelated to the war, Israelis and Jews throughout the world, are suffering the consequences.
So we have time for one more issue question.
One more depressing.
Yes.
Thought.
So the issue of recognition of Palestine as a state has been around for as long as the original partition plan of the UN in 1948. France has recently said that it will recognize Palestine this September in some UN event. 100 and something countries, I believe, in the UN have already made that recognition. You think that's significant in any way, or more of just Macron because there's so many Muslims in his country wanting to?
It's very significant for Israel because it exacerbates the hatred of Israel by the world. Why doesn't Israel let them have a state? Israel's done so much over the years people don't realize. I hope to have time to write an article. All the things over the years that Israel's given into to the Palestinians. They gave them Gaza without any war, without anything. They gave them Sinai to the Egyptians. That avoided war since then. They've done, over the 75 years, the UN offered them a state when they offered Israel a state. It's not like, and Israel's gone along with everything. They returned some in the dispute with Lebanon. They returned the land that was in dispute, the borderland. Bill Clinton said the Prime Minister of Israel offered, what's his name?
He was Barack at the time?
Yeah, Barack, but I'm saying offered the Palestinian
Oh,
leader,
Arafat.
Arafat. 95% of what he wanted. And he just walked out. He didn't even try to negotiate for something more, something different. He just walked out. He said it was the biggest disappointment because he thought it was a done deal. He couldn't believe that Arafat didn't accept it. So Israel's given over the 75 years a number of indications that if Palestine would cooperate and indicate that they wouldn't attack Israel, because their goal is not to have a state. The charter of Hamas says exactly what their philosophy is and what their goal is: the total eradication of the state of Israel and of all the Jews, which they essentially did in every adjacent Arab country adjacent to Israel. Israel took in over 1 million Jews from all these countries, and all of the adjacent countries won't even take in more than a handful, even a handful of Palestinians.
So, on that note, we can come to an end of our weekly discussion and look forward to.
On that happy note, like all the Israelis, the only thing you feel like doing, if you're on the side of it, Israel, is throw up your hand or blow your own brains out. Anyway, God bless you. Have a great day. Have a great week. Have a great life. And I hope to see you, be with you again next Wednesday at 6:30. Every day of your life should be better than the day before, till you're 120. And after that, I'll negotiate for more for you. Unto eternity.